Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Minmaxing Minecraft. This series is going to be aimed at doing things as efficiently as possible to get the most out of my time. Also, I'll be explaining exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing it so that you're able to replicate it if you want. Outside of gameplay, I'm also just going to be talking about random topics, like things that I'm learning in school right now, or notable events, just anything that I find interesting. So, you can see that I've already started the world and I've gathered a few basic resources like some wood, some coal, some iron, some stone. And from here, we're going to be going out exploring and trying to find a village. While we do that, we're going to talk about our first random topic, which is something I've recently enjoyed doing when it's raining or snowing. I live in Connecticut, and so it's very snowy here at this time of year, and that can be quite miserable, right? But I've found that if it's snowing and I'm not having the greatest day, and I have to walk outside, that if I put on like Minecraft music or some video game soundtracks that are kind of cozy, they really improve my mood a lot. So next time you're having a rainy day, literally, I would actually recommend just putting on some Minecraft music. It's really relaxing, and it turns that dreary feeling into a cozy feeling. So I'd highly recommend that. You might notice in the gameplay that I'm hunting some food right now, and I'm actually one-shotting these pigs with just a stone axe. The way that you do this is you need to get a critical hit, and in Minecraft, a crit occurs whenever you strike the attack button while you're moving downwards. So that's why you see I jump before I swing, and then on the way downwards, I click the mouse button and kill the pig. At this point, it's taken a bit longer than I'd like to find a village, and one thing I'm going to be doing in this series is using cheats occasionally. So right here, I'm just going to locate a village using Minecraft commands. I'm not going to do this particularly often, just when I think it would save time from something that's otherwise kind of uninteresting. Now that we've found the coordinates of the village, we're going to start heading there using the F3 function. I'm just going to skip some of the travel time because it was not very interesting. And now we're going to talk about the ethics of raiding villages. This is something that I haven't thought about much until recently, but Minecraft actually is kind of a dark game when you think about it. You're engaging in some of the worst behaviors of humanity, like deforestation, killing animals, extracting as many resources from the planet as possible with no regard to the ecological damage you might be causing. And honestly, that's kind of brutal. But enough about that. We've arrived at the village, and now it's time to enslave the population there for our own personal gain. Yay! This is a great game for children. Let's start by stealing their food source. This will be incredibly useful for us. On one hand, we can use it to feed ourselves, but on the other hand, we can use it to breed more villagers, which we can exploit later. If you didn't already know this, the fastest way to break hay bales is using a hoe. The same is true for leaves. Another thing I forgot to mention earlier is that this world is actually on the latest snapshot, so we'll have access to features that are not in the latest update of the game. That means that we're going to be using the autocrafters and possibly bundles in the early game. Here I'm using the village bell to get the villagers to pathfind back to their houses. I don't know exactly how this works, but as long as you ring the bell, they should walk towards their homes, and then you can simply cover them up with dirt so that they don't escape or get eaten by zombies. You might have to ring it a couple of times in case they walk back out of their houses, but that's okay. Now, as I'm going through this, we're going to talk about the main topic of today's video, which is cost-benefit. In my economics class, we discussed the principle of using cost-benefit analysis to make decisions. While I think most people have heard of this before, something really clicked with me. A lot of the times in life, you're faced with doing something that is more difficult in the short term, but you know it has a greater benefit in the long term. A great example of this is eating healthy. But, the cost of eating healthy is kind of big. You need a lot of motivation, you need time to prepare the foods if you're cooking them. The thing I learned from my economics class is that when you're viewing a large problem like this, you need to break it down into each individual decision. This is called the marginal principle. When you apply the marginal principle to a situation, what you do is you look at the marginal costs and compare them to the marginal benefits. So, say you have the choice between eating a salad or having some ice cream. The marginal cost of eating the salad is not very high. Even if you don't like salad and it's a bit taxing and takes a bit of willpower, it's not all that bad. Additionally, the marginal benefit isn't that high either, right? So why bother? Well, as we all know, with time, the benefit increases. The reverse is true in the case of eating ice cream. Perhaps it might seem more beneficial in the moment, but afterwards, are you really going to feel as good? This is not to say you should never eat ice cream. In fact, that's precisely the opposite of my point. My point is that you should only eat ice cream when the benefit outweighs the costs. A related principle that we learned is that often our enjoyment of something decreases the more of it we consume. For an example, if you had 2 scoops of ice cream, that would not be twice as good as 1 scoop of ice cream. Therefore, the cost-benefit analysis changes the more ice cream that you consume. In other words, it's better to space out your ice cream. Why have 2 scoops of ice cream on one day when you could have 1 scoop of ice cream on 2 days? While recording this, I'm realizing that this is a lot harder than I was expecting, and I kind of feel like I'm bad at this. But I know that I'll get better with time. I think the real thing I'm concerned about is that the people I'm going to show this first video to will probably not enjoy it super much because it's very rough around the edges, but, maybe they will anyway. I think I have some relatively insightful things to say. But back to what I was saying about cost-benefit. The way I've been applying this in my life is to motivate me to take cold showers. I used to try to take cold showers all the way through with no hot water at all, but now I've started to use hot water for the beginning of my shower, and then just in the last 30 seconds or so, I'll transition to cold water. This is a lot easier for me to do, so the cost is lower, and the benefit is lower, but I still experience a great benefit from it. For me, it really helps me to wake up in the morning. I'd highly recommend trying it out if you always feel groggy in the mornings. Back to the Minecraft gameplay. What we're doing here is we're building a string duplicator. This is going to be useful for us because we can trade this string with the villagers to get emeralds, and then we can use those emeralds to get diamond tools, diamond armor, and whatever else we need. This build is really cheap too. The most expensive part is the 2 string that you need. You could honestly set this up within their first 10 minutes of playing the game, as long as you find a village. I'll include a link to a tutorial video in order to make this design. The reason I decided to get my tools from villagers rather than mining for diamonds is because if I die, it's way faster to just buy a new set from villagers, and I don't want to use keep inventory in this playthrough. Now I'm going to explain how the duplication device works. You need to have water intersecting with the string in such a way that it glitches the game out, where it thinks that the string is both supposed to be there and not supposed to be there, so it breaks the string while simultaneously thinking that the string is still there, so it breaks the string again, and then it breaks it again, and that way you keep getting more and more string constantly breaking. In order to get this duper to work, you have to shear the tripwire and then right-click the lever at just the right time. However, the timing is kind of precise and it doesn't always work, so you see me messing it up quite a few times here. But the thing that complicates it even further is I believe that this duper is also based on the direction at which it's built. So there were quite a few times when I did the timing correctly, but just because the whole machine was the wrong direction, it didn't work. Because of that, I had to rip it all down and then build it all again, try it again, it still was the wrong direction, so I had to rip all of that down, build it again, and then finally I was able to get it to work. I really dislike the phrase, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Because a lot of times, if you just keep trying something, you're not actually going to get a different outcome. I think a better phrase would be, if at first you don't succeed, figure out what went wrong and improve upon that. In this case, no matter how many times I tried to break the string at just the right time, it wasn't going to work. I had to give up on that idea and start all over from the beginning. There's a lot of English phrases that are pretty stupid if you really think about them. I think a great example is having a chip on your shoulder. What does that mean? Like, do you just have like a pack of Doritos? Or calling something a piece of cake, meaning it's easy. Making cake is not very easy. It's a pretty difficult task. It makes me wonder where those phrases even come from. I'm sure they have an origin somewhere. Perhaps they make more sense in a different language, or maybe there's a story that explains them. I'm actually going to look that up. So, I looked it up, and both of the phrases seem to have a bit of a mystery as to what their origin is, and there's some disagreeing theories. I won't get into it too much because I'm not a linguist and have no expertise in this area, but I just think it's kind of interesting to think about where these phrases that we say so casually actually come from. As this video comes to a close, I want to ask you, what kinds of topics do you guys want me to talk about? Is there anything you want me to build in the game specifically? You can let me know in the comments, or if you know me personally, you could just text me. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and there'll be more to come, hopefully soon. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Or don't do those things. I really don't care that much. But yeah, we got the string duper working now, so we're gonna end the video here. Have a great day.